We
Hello,
are.
everyone. Okay, I was like, I'm not sure if you didn't say go or anything. I don't know. Hello, everybody. We're using a new video system, and I haven't gotten the timing down on this one. I hope you're having a better Saturday than I am. No, I'm having a good Saturday. It's fine. Hello, I'm Katie Quixotic. I'll be your host for the evening. No, I'm kidding, but kind of also. We are Half Right Heroes. We're excited to be back after taking a break last week for my birthday, which was fun. But yeah, I'll let everybody else introduce themselves and their characters for you.
Hi, I'm Carl. I'm playing Lafcadio Whitehorn, the Tabaxi Warlock.
Vinny, I'm playing Hale Irvine, the half-elven cleric.
I'm Casey, and I'm playing Champion Time War. I'm playing Second Big Bad Chicken, Shield, Fight, Storm Slayer, Shadows, Bane, and Bashaba. Nos, the boss of Never Winter, is how that word works.
Hey guys, I am John. I am the dwarf of Marabar, master of the axe, and you travel the plains, destroyer of shadow, deliverer of certain death. I am the Wampum Thunderbelly.
And we lost.
Pressure was too much. Graham couldn't.
He had to.
And then we'll have to sort through the cameras again. Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm sure he'll be back soon. Graham plays our friendly neighborhood Shadowkai Necromancer Wizard Taslin. Evrio, I believe, is typically how he describes himself. Who would like to do a recap of the last session, if you could remember what we did?
What did we do?
It was basically a shopping episode.
It was kind of, yeah.
Well, we did go back to the underground temple of the Bashabans.
Mm-hmm.
Not inside, because it was kind of, destroyed.
Flooded, yeah.
And we cleared the ecological disaster that it was. And made sure that will not come back to bite us. There was also, on the way back, some hijinks regarding flipping carpets that may have contributed to a desire for other folks to buy mounts. So mounts were bought. And Graham is back.
I'm back. Good thing I go last.
Woohoo. That's true. Would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself then?
Hi, I'm Graham, or Graham Crackers. I play Tassel Nevrio, your favorite Shadow Archive wizard and necromancer, and I'm happy to be here. It's been like 2 weeks. Missed you all, love you all, and that's all I got.
Best quick intro. Do we need to cycle through the cameras and turn them off and back on to get them in the right places again?
Nope, I'll just move everyone around.
Okay, perfect.
Continue.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's pretty much it. You cleaned up that, had some hijinks, ended up going and buying some mounts, and then Wampum and, I almost said Graham, Taslin had to sleep outside the city because they couldn't bring the exotic mounts within the city walls. Did you ever tell them? You did tell them that you had to sleep outside, I remember, because you used your sending stone. And those recharge at dawn, right? Okay. Yeah, so what did the rest of you do before going to bed? Anything in particular?
Well, Lucadio was taking notes about the church of the Fortune Boon Hall to see if he got it all wrong. That maybe you should have an ostentatious gathering for followers of the faith to attract more followers of the faith and do good things.
Yeah.
Still thinking about it.
That's fair. Nos or Kale, anything in particular before you go to bed? Doesn't have to be anything. Just, check it in. Where do you sleep? In Fortune Moon Hall, I assume?
Yeah.
On the ground outside. Okay.
On the floor. Like God intended. I imagine we went to the Fortune Moon Hall.
Okay. So you all complete your nighttime rituals, go to bed, sleep takes you, or trance takes you, as case may be. Taslin, you don't really necessarily like dream in your reverie that you enter in necessarily, although sometimes you do, or you're just thinking back on experiences you've had. And as your mind sort of like wanders, dawdling on whatever thoughts it is that you're kind of like going through while you're taking your rest, you find yourself feeling like you're sitting on soft grass. And you know that you are in fact sitting or laying, as the case may be, on grass and or your mount, but they don't seem to be present. And the grass feels thicker, lusher, softer. Instead of the sort of like autumn twinge to the air, the like the chill and the smells that are associated with that, of like the turning and decay heading into winter, there's more of a lively spring scent in the air, wildflowers. And you realize that the night is much brighter than it had been before. And as you kind of take in your surroundings, you seem to be sitting in the middle of an endless grass plain. There's nothing but grass in the sky, nighttime sky, as far as the eye can see. There is a moon overhead that is magnificent and beautiful, but also incredibly large, much larger than it should be. Some of your intelligence, this is something the average person would notice, but definitely stands out to you that this is much larger than it should be.
Yeah, and Kale had told me about his dream, right? Because I shared with him at the reverie, where he had.
Go ahead.
Where he had been kind of in like that sea of stars or something. So I'm gonna look up at these stars and just start walking like aimlessly. I don't think it really matters what direction I go.
Okay.
And I will make a religion check.
Okay, go ahead.
To see if I know anything of where I am currently.
Oh, I don't have Roll20 open. There's always a tab that I forget. Tell me what you roll while I open it. Launch game. Is it taking forever to roll? Of course. It does that sometimes.
That is a 20, but not a natural one.
Gotcha. So what is it that you are searching for with this religion check? Are you racking your brain to try to see, if this sounds like a realm that you're familiar with?
Yeah,
you said you're trying to determine where you're at.
Yeah, and I know that Taslin had been trying to fiddle with the planar sphere to kind of learn how to get here. So I think Taslin is also kind of trying to take insight from just the surroundings of where he is to, one, figure out if it's a plane, and two, see if he can glean any further knowledge into what the correct combination would be to get here.
Okay.
This is quite wonderful. I suppose I should be talking to you. Is that what you want? That's up to him.
Are you saying this like out loud?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you look up and you're having this conversation and you're like searching your memory and whatever it is within you that you're pulling from to try to like make a connection or draw conclusions, you notice the constellations in the sky are also brighter than usual. They're not necessarily larger than usual, but it's almost as if the shapes are present rather than as abstract as they should be. You see a harp. You see an arrow. You see a crown. A belt. A centaur. And a woman warrior. And what strikes you odd about these is that some of these aren't viewable in the same sky. Like different position in Faerun, you would need to see some of these, and other ones wouldn't be necessarily. I mean, there's stars in the sky, but different like latitudes you get so far away, then sometimes they're just not visible in your scope because they're like in the horizon. So some of these shouldn't be able to be seen together.
That was a harp, an arrow, a crown, a belt, a centaur, and a woman warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will stop walking and I'm just gonna lay down on the grass and just stare at the night sky, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Taslim and I would be under the assumption that if someone wanted to speak with us, they're either waiting us for to make some insight into what they want, or they'll speak directly.
Yeah, that's fair. What would you say is Taslim's most present emotion just any given day?
Oh man, Taslim's most longing, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not like necessarily romantic longing, but like that ache of something missing.
Mm-hmm. A slight emptiness.
Yeah, like
unfulfillment.
dissatisfaction, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a Taslim emotion.
Yeah. So you lay down, kind of waiting, as you said, to see what happens next, assuming that whatever's going on will reach out, as they do. And as you're laying in the soft grass and the smells of spring and the like cool but not chilly air is kind of like drifting over you, it's just a really pleasant experience. And this white silvery light from the moon is just kind of beaming down on you, and you have this reflection, this self-reflection of knowing that something is missing, and you don't really know what it is. You've never necessarily known what it is. It's not that you suddenly feel fulfilled, but there's a sense of contentment that sort of saddles up along next to that emptiness. And for the first time in a long time, you feel less like everything is kind of pointless and cyclical. I wouldn't say you suddenly have this like sense of purpose and your life has meaning or anything, but there's just a calm contentment that kind of spreads over that emptiness and dulls the little ache that you always have inside. And that's how you spend the rest of the time in the reverie, unless you do something. Okay. Nas, you have some interesting dreams tonight as well. You, what would you say are the sort of things that Nas typically dreams about if she dreams? Does she dream often?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Let's see. It's probably like ridiculous stuff that is very close to being realistic, but there's also flying fish or a giant hand somewhere for no freaking reason. Sometimes she's underwater, but everything else is totally normal. Stuff like that.
Okay. So you are having one of your typical nighttime dreams. You are like on an evening run on the shores by Westgate that you used to go on periodically during exercise. I'm assuming she would go running and do exercise and things like that too. I think we've talked about that, right?
Mostly strength exercises, but yeah. Cardio is important.
Mm-hmm. So, you've got your workout routine and plan, and you do look out over the sea, and there is like a dolphin-esque type creature that is kind of swimming above the water. You have that like, okay, I'm dreaming sort of moment, but it's still like, it's a nice evening. There's a cool breeze off the ocean, kind of like masking the warmth that is like encumbering you from having worked out, and you're on your way to your destination where you do some of your strength exercises. And the earth becomes really present under your feet, and you realize that you're barefoot all of a sudden. And every time you take a step on the ground, it's almost like two magnets meeting each other. There's this sense of connectedness, and you feel really like grounded and solid. And the scent of the sea kind of all of a sudden washes over your senses, and there's this like palpable combination of feeling like grounded and balanced from the feeling of the earth under your feet and the smell of the sea in the air. And as you're on your run, you can feel like this warmth in your core. You can almost sense the like lactic acid building up in your muscles, and the energy that you are expending while you're exercising, and it feels really energizing in a way, but it's kind of like this thermal tingling sort of feeling. And you feel like grounded and balanced and powerful. And the air, aside from the scent of the sea, this cool breeze that washes over you, is like cooling you, and it's keeping this sort of like cyclical sense of grounded, balanced strength that is tempered with like a sense of control. And when you're exercising, it's a way for you to feel like more clear-headed, working out your emotions. There's the joy in battle that you have in the exercise that you know is going to contribute to your prowess. And that it almost is like enlightening when you're having these type of, or at least right now, you feel this sense of grounding and balance and temperance and power, to be kind of like a lightning, almost like a spiritual experience for you. And about the time you're ending to your destination, you look out at the sunset, which should be those sort of like dusky colors, but the sun is a deep, vibrant gold. And this gold is painted across the sky in various shades, twinged with sort of reds you would see of sunset. And it's kind of confusing. And although you feel grounded and balanced and powerful, there's this deep sense of longing for home, which even in a dream, you realize is a little bizarre, because you are at home for the first time in a long time, and you felt so content there. And it's not that you're necessarily like sad or overcome with like this melancholy, but that sort of homesickness that you get, that is the surface level of just missing something that you've been away from for a long time, kind of takes hold a little bit in your stomach. And it's like almost like a beautiful, poignant moment that you have, this like weird golden sunset. And for just a moment before you wake up, there's this warmth around your face. It's almost as if there's a fire at the edges of your skin, and you know that you haven't set anything on fire, and there's no fire being started behind you. You're by yourself. But it's almost like you can feel the heat reflecting on your face, and then you wake up. And that feeling of being powerful and grounded and centered and balanced and like awakened in a way is still there, but not nearly as powerful as you had felt it before, similar to this sort of nostalgic homesickness that is like just barely twinging at your heart.
Did I wake up in time to catch the sunrise? Because I would very much like to attempt that.
Yeah, you could have gone to bed whenever you wanted. So if you would normally wake up that early, or like would have chosen to go to bed in enough time to wake up, or would just desire to, then yeah, that you could easily do that.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go do some stuff. I'm gonna run down to the kitchen, see what I can rustle up as far as breakfast goes. I'm gonna bag it up. And then I will, well, can I tell what time it is at all? Is anyone up doing normal?
The temple is like semi 24 hours, because people could come like hobbling in with a grievous injury at any time. And there are some people who just prefer to be up at night and tend to do their sort of offerings to Taimora and service to her in the nighttime. So is there anyone in specific you're looking for to tell you what time it is, I guess, maybe?
Yeah, anyone could probably do that that's still awake right now.
Yeah, just, like an initiate that must be new, or at least in the last 5 years new. You don't know who they are necessarily, but you've seen them around in the like comings and goings and gatherings and whatnot, and they're attending to like doing some basic maintenance or like folding linens kind of thing. And if you ask them what time it is, then it's like dawn is around like 6:30, and it's like 5:30ish.
Okay. I'll wait 30 minutes and just go hang out next to Mom's avatar statue.
Okay.
And then I will proceed to go to the room where Kale has been staying the last 2 nights.
Okay.
And I will try the door, see if it's open.
Did you lock your door, Kale?
Yeah.
Then I
The
will
door
knock.
is locked.
Trying to think. I guess Kale would be. I've always considered him an early riser. I suppose he'd wake up.
Mhm.
And he wouldn't ask her anything. He'd just get up and wait a sec, blink a few times, and then go open the door.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm gonna go catch the sunrise. You want to come with?
Sure. I'm up now, so sure.
You can stay here if you like. You
No,
want some
no, no.
rest?
Why would I do that? That'd be
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. You'd be an idiot.
okay. Let me go get the carpet and.
Oh, I actually still have the big one. Whip it out.
I forgot about that. All right. Okay, let's go then. Let's just go.
Activate it. Use it to actually get out of the temple. Like, ain't no thing. And I think that I will head towards. First of all, I'm gonna go way up, like 200 feet, and then we're gonna head to what was it, Morning Haven, the Temple of Lathander,
Okay.
and we're just gonna chill next to the spire that is the highest, because you
Okay.
know they always try to build their temples as far-reaching as they can in order to touch the sky.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's when you get up there, so you go up and you fly over in that direction. And at this point, you all have traveled on carpets enough that even though this is kind of like on the edges-esque of the big city, the people on the ramparts aren't like yelling at you or telling you to get down or anything like that because you're not trying to like enter or exit. So you're up over by the spire and you're close enough to notice that there is like a small gem or something in the top of it. And as the sun rises, the light, as it slowly starts to bathe over the land, you can watch the sort of like line of the sunrise kind of come up over the edges of the earth. And as it reaches the Temple of Lathander, it touches, once the light kind of like touches, everything like touches, the crystal, there's like a refraction that happens. And it's not necessarily like incredibly bright. This doesn't seem to be like there's anything magical going on. There's just some refraction that causes like this really beautiful sort of like dazzle of light around that crystal. So you can tell that the top of the spire, even from down at ground level, is particularly bright at sunrise. And you see like hints of the rainbowy colors that are being refracted through the crystal. And you do notice, what all are you looking around at as you're up there?
Me personally, everything.
Okay.
I'm here to enjoy the present at the moment
Mhm.
without really having to think about where we need to go or what we need to do or where
Yeah.
we've been.
And there is sort of like a calmness that comes with the sunrise where like the darkness fades away, which is kind of metaphoric in a way, and then the warmth touches your skin, and that's nice and refreshing. And it's really it's a really nice sensation to have like the warm sun on your skin, but there's still that sort of like cold-ish twinge to the breeze. Especially this high up, it's a little bit stronger than it would be on ground level because there's no walls.
I've also broken out some bacon and I'm just kind of like idly gnawing on it while looking around.
Munch on the bacon, yeah, that's fair. And as you look around, you see as light sort of starts just like not glossing over, bathing the city. It does have just like a really rich gold tone to it. Everything does. The Temple of Timora, Fortune Moon Hall, the statue is illuminated and it just seems a little bit more vibrant than it usually does. And it's difficult to say whether you've just had like a few days of calmness and you're at home and you feel so like relaxed for the first time in a long time, or maybe relaxed is the wrong word, but there's a sense of
Content.
peace. Yeah, exactly. That
Yeah.
you haven't had in a while. And so it could just be that everything seems better because you've had a moment to breathe. Or maybe there's something significant to it. Difficult to say.
That's
What are you
it.
doing, Kale?
Same thing. Looking at all that stuff. Sounded great.
Okay. And Lafcadio, you go to sleep, and you've had this on your mind, this sort of like the two wolves struggle in a metaphoric sense of this is, these are the tenets of what I follow, and this is kind of really different, and it seems really foreign and probably a little inappropriate, but now that I'm getting to know it a little better, maybe there's something to it that I'm missing. And what would you say Lafcadio tends to dream about?
I am not a musician, but I know that if I am working on a project at work, that I tend to, visualize the things that I'm doing at work. So I imagine there's a lot of, picturing the frets on his lute and the finger positions, and just practicing one song over and over and over again until he gets it right, something like that.
Gotcha. So you're having this sort of like really abstract, ambiguous dream where like you feel present in it, but there's not a whole lot of scenery. It's like this like pinpoint focus on the technicality of your playing. And the sort of darkness of this pinpoint focus fades away, and you're sitting in a room, which you recognize to be the chamber that Sariel always like welcomed you in, and you would sit and she would give you the material plane food that would help sustain you during your time in the Feywild. And did you ever play her any of the songs that you learned while you were there?
I played for my supper. Yeah.
Okay. So
there were songs that I had made up about the folks in my party, so I'm sure that I would have played those.
Right. So she's sitting like across from you at the other end of this little round table, kind of like swirling a drink, probably wine, elven wine. And you're playing this piece and really focusing on the technical aspects of it, which is, in your nature. That's how you first picked this up. And although you've been here learning I wouldn't even say the finer or higher aspects of music, just another way of approaching it that connects it more to your heart, your essence, your soul, putting yourself into it instead of like replicating it, what somebody else has written, taking that and making it yours. These are part of the lessons that you were taking here. And she looks pleased, like she has a pleasant expression on her face, which always happened when you would play. Your music always sounded nice even before you were here, and you could even tell a palpable difference after you'd been studying for some time in the way that other people reacted to it, which was even more positive than it had been before. And you finish playing this piece, and there's like a smell of bread in the air that you hadn't noticed before, and you have that sort of like hunger that's been ongoing since you've been picking at food very sparsely, and you set the instrument aside to eat a slice of this bread that's in front of you. And she smiles and she puts her drink down and looks at you and says, "You so often follow your heart. You can do that with your instrument as well." This isn't a memory that you've had. This isn't you like remembering something that actually happened. This is one of those dreams where it takes real things and inserts it into a scenario that is plausible but didn't exist. And it kind of strikes you as like not only sort of like the essence of what most of your lessons amounted to, aside from, the other things that you studied while here, and just like focusing on the music aspect of it, but also just generally in life, that is kind of something that you do seem to do, whether you realize that or not. that is a perception that others may have of you. And it's kind of like, it kind of not takes you aback or anything, but it's like something to ponder on at the end of this dream. You don't feel like unsettled by it or anything. It doesn't seem like she was rebuking you or correcting you. It seems like commentary. And because you were so focused, she's kind of like trying to bring you out of that, this part you're fine with. You know how to do this. Feel it kind of thing. And you wake up and you don't have any like overwhelming sensations or anything when you wake up, but it's just kind of like a reminder of like your time there and all the interesting experiences that you had and like the lessons that you received and the like thinking back on it now is this sort of like dream. Do you remember your dreams usually, or do they kind of fade as the day goes on?
Lafcadio totally remembers his dreams.
Okay. So as you're sort of like going back and playing it back through your head, although she never had that actual conversation with you, especially about music, she never once said anything about it except, it was lovely, that was wonderful, positive comments, or like questions about the stories you were telling through your music. It's like other conversations that she'd had with you where she commented on things that she noticed about your nature, almost in like that sort of like all-seeing motherly way that creatures who have had time raising anyone, whether it was their child or not, they notice little things. She had made several comments over time about how she admired your ability to like trust your gut, follow your instincts, to do what seemed right to you, what fit your tenets, and you did that and you believed it and you followed it. And that was something that she admired. And that's what you're thinking about when you woke up.
And my gut is telling me I need to enjoy a few more hours in bed.
So you go back and snooze for a bit till the dawn passes.
Yep.
And everyone wakes up. Everyone else that isn't already awake wakes up when they want to. What are you, Wampa, what are you doing in the morning? How early are you waking up? What are you doing with this griffin?
I leaned against the griffin to go to sleep, just kind of to imprint myself on him. And I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to go buy a mule.
Okay.
And bring it back. And I'm going to bring the griffin out. And I'm going to smack the mule on the behind and have it take off. And then I'm going to release the griffin. And I'm going to use my fighter ability to know the enemy. So I'm going to watch how the griffin hunts. Watch what abilities it uses to hunt the mule down, so I can learn more of its abilities.
Nice. Okay. I think did I send you have the stat block, right? For the griffin?
I can look it back up, yes.
I have it right here. I'll pull it up. So which things are you wanting to know?
Let's see. Let's back this up.
Because you can I think you could pick 3 things from a list or something like that.
Let's see.
If I'm remembering correctly, which I might not be.
I am going to I'm gonna learn the fighter score and the dexterity score.
Okay.
And if it has any, and I'm gonna learn its current hit points as well.
Okay. Current hit points are 37. Dex score is 15. And it doesn't have fighter levels, but
Okay.
you can see that it has the ability to like engage an enemy. You see it, it can bite essentially with its beak, and it uses its talons to claw. So it has the ability to do damage, but doesn't have any actual fighter levels.
Okay. And then I will let it enjoy its meal.
Okay. Are you taking your meal here? Are you going to wait until you get back to Fortune Boon Hall?
I'll wait till I'm back at Fortune.
Okay. So what are you like sitting in the grass and watching it? Or are you kind of standing and watching it, like morning limbering up sort of thing? Okay.
And
Yeah,
we were
morning-
near each other, right?
And then I'm going to
Outside the
find
gates.
a nice place to watch it, maybe leaning up against a tree.
Okay. Okay. Did you two sleep somewhere near each other?
I thought so, because neither of us could get into the city.
Yeah. I just don't know if you would have posted up like right next to each other, or if it was like, we're going to be in this area, but I'm going to go over here. Like,
No,
it's
I figured
totally
they
up
had
to
like
you.
a little small campfire, like we
I
were
thought-
like 200 yards.
I thought we were in your.
I had no spell slots, so I was taking
okay.
a 4-hour reverie, and then I was going to use it.
Yeah.
So I think at some point, Taslin, after he had that crazy reverie vision quest, he would have summoned a mansion, shoved hoppers in there for endless carrots, and I think Wampum probably was still asleep, and like I feel like he like grabbed Wampum's boot and was gonna like try and drag him in, and then just gave up like 2 seconds in and was like, meh.
Never mind. And is the door closed or open then? Would Wampum be able to see it?
When I cast it, I would have allowed Wampum and his hippogriff to come in, but I think the door closes and then you can just open it.
Do you have to choose to make it invisible, or is it automatically invisible when you close it?
That's a great question. I have not looked at the spell in a while.
That's fair. Because you might see a door, or you might not see anything if it's closed. Or I guess you wouldn't even see a door, you'd see like an open doorway. If you did see a
I
doorway,
can
would you
open
go?
and close the portal
Mm-hmm.
if I'm within 30 feet of it. Wall close. Oh yeah, wall close. The portal is invisible. So I guess we'll leave it open.
Yeah, so there is a doorway open to Taslin's mansion now. You know there wasn't one when you went to bed, so he must have woken up and cast it in the morning.
Okay.
You still gonna stay outside?
Yeah, just I'm gonna watch the griffin, and then when it finishes, I'll go ahead and put the griffin in the mansion, and then go to the hall.
Okay. What are you doing during the time after your reverie, Taslin? You're muted. Happens to me all the time, no worries.
Still muted.
Nope, you're still muted. I think you're muted in Zoom. Can you hear me?
I guess not.
I don't know.
I'm unmuted. Oh, I was muted. My bad. Taslin eats breakfast within his mansion. Then I think he just kind of hangs out with hoppers and like gets to know his pet.
That's fair. Spend some
Yeah.
time together, imprints, as one might say.
Yeah.
All right. So then the plan is to leave the animals inside the mansion and head back to Fortune Boon Hall. Okay. And they follow commands from you, obviously. So if you tell them to stay in there, then they're fine. Are the servants basically instructed to like take care of them? Is that kind of the thing? Okay, perfect. So what time would you say that you all head towards Fortune Boon Hall?
I would say the sun's not been up long. Probably the griffin would. I got up right at sunrise,
Mm-hmm.
so I would say the griffin took maybe an hour to eat.
Okay.
So probably just mid-morning.
All right. So you make your way back. You're all able to meet up. If there's anything else that Kale and Nos are doing in the sort of like hour or so you have before they show up and Lafcadio wakes up. Fade to black. Sweet. Okay. So I'm kidding. So what is your plan for the day? I assume you all go down and, well, you packed breakfast, Nos. Are you still planning on going and having breakfast? Would you all meet up for food?
Well, we are taken care of, so that's chill. But
Okay.
maybe about an hour after the sun has risen, we reappear.
Yeah, okay. So Taslin, Lafcadio, and Wampum, you have the you wake up, you arrive in time for like the late breakfast crowd. There are a few people in the sort of like back, like cafeteria-esque. It's more of like a cafe sort of setting, really, just like a room with a bunch of chairs and tables. But you all meet up for lunch, and it's a little bit of time before Nos and Wampum join you. Nos and Kale. Oh. So the three of you can take your meal. I don't know if you want to plan something for the day. Basically, it's in your hands now. I'm passing the torch. What are you doing?
Good morning, Lafcadio. Did you sleep well?
Yeah, mate. And you'll see that he's got like a waffle in the shape of a coin, but that would be round. But it's, I'm sure. Fortune
Clover.
Hall,
What about a clover?
there you go. Has you can get custom waffle shapes. He's having some clover waffle. Good rest. How about you?
Yes. Wampum and I had a wonderful night not being allowed in the city.
I thought this is a rather progressive city. Why would they prevent you from entering?
Allegedly, they don't really like having hippogriffs in the city. Or giant rabbits with horns.
I can see why they would, I guess, have reservations about that, but I had no idea that you had these beasts.
Recently acquired. It was kind of an impulse buy. I figured if we're going to go to the Shadowfell, I might as well blow all my money because we're all probably doomed.
All right, that's the spirit, I guess. I look forward to meeting your pets. They sound delightful.
Oh yes, I named mine Hoppers. Do you know why?
I have suspicions.
They're probably correct. I also had the craziest dream last night. It was rather strange. I was sleeping. Well, I mean, I don't sleep, so not really sleeping, but I was in my reverie, and then I woke up in a field of grass with the moon and the constellations.
Sounds nice.
That's all I have. That's pretty much the story.
Sounds delightful. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome. So where's Nos and Kale?
Here!
Oh,
Come here! Go walking out.
hello.
Hello! How you doing? What's up?
Oh, the sun, I suppose.
This is true.
You have an awful big smile on your face.
Well, just living life, and life is good.
It was a great morning.
I bet it was.
It's important when you're like saving the universe and shit to take what time you can to appreciate what you're fighting for.
Aye.
Definitely. That's why I'm spending all my money.
On what?
Whatever I want.
I'm gonna give him Nux at that point. It's like, hell yeah. You do you. You do you.
I mean, you must have some sort of idea, right?
What?
Of what you're gonna want to spend all your money on. I just want to make sure it's not any more cursed stuff.
No, of course it's not.
Okay.
There was this very cool obsidian skull I saw in a store, but I said, now Taslin, you probably shouldn't.
What do you think you would do with something like that?
Well, it'd be the first piece of furniture I'd have in my house.
Furniture.
Or decoration. I completely believe my house is bare.
Oh, it would just be decorative.
Oh, yes.
Okay. All right. I don't know. That's a little disappointing. I'm not. You're just, incredibly powerful necromancer. I thought maybe you'd be using it to do something magical. But I mean, decorating your house can be magical too, I guess.
Yes, it's freeing. It's freeing now that I am a citizen of the material plane that owns property. I feel the need to decorate it occasionally.
Okay. Great. How are things with the cube or sphere, whatever the puzzle thing?
Yes, I fiddled with it yesterday, shortly before I was so unceremoniously tossed off the flying carpet. And
That was pretty good.
yes, it was funny the first time, less funny the second time.
Yeah, but you bounced harder the second time.
Remind me next time one of you needs saving that I'm just going to not do it. But I had Kale, you're familiar with constellations, yes?
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah,
Are you familiar with a plane that's all grass and a giant moon and stars, and you can see all the constellations at once?
I don't know. Let me think about that for a second.
And I will assist him in thinking about that by telling him what constellations. Or taking the help action.
I'm muted. Roll with advantage.
Roll. What am I rolling? A religion check?
What are you rolling? You're rolling a history check? You're rolling a religion check? What do you want to find out if you know what this plane is?
Yeah, he's asking me about a plane specifically. So
Would you say that you are racking your brain for all the things that you've studied about the formation of the planes, or would it be more like is it more cosmology or is it more like theocracy?
probably, yeah, it'd be more about the things, the constellations, because there could be fields anywhere.
Okay. So then history.
Idoki. Rolled a 3 and a 19, and I have a +6 to history now because I'm not a knowledge cleric anymore for a long time now. So 25.
25. As a plane, that doesn't sound familiar. The constellations, as you're thinking about it, the ones that he lists off, shouldn't be seen all in the same sky at one time at any particular point in year from one place in Faerun. Some are too far north and too far south to be seen by a single person standing in a field. So it seems like it was a dream, or if there was a plane that was entered, it was perhaps contrived momentarily, or if this was like some creature entering to his sleep via spell, perhaps like the dream spell or something like that, then it's something that was like constructed on purpose, a creature or an entity, I should say. So you know that it doesn't sound like necessarily familiar, but given the sort of like course of the last few days and this this pondering that you shared with him, the pondering on Selune, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like there's the obvious symbology of like the moon.
Sure. Does that specific combination of constellations that he saw mean anything?
With that roll, let's see.
I can make a different roll if you want.
So you know that the centaur, the warrior, and the belt are northern constellations in the summer. The crown is more of a winter and autumn. the arrow is northern constellation, and I forget where the harp is at. Oh, and the arrow is like a fall sort of constellation as well, I believe. And the harp doesn't specify. So as you're thinking about this, you are, like, okay, so some are northern, some are southern, some are spring, some are summer, some are fall, some are winter. What kind of symbology could there be here? What does it represent? Do I recognize these being put together in any way? They're part of the known constellations. They're kind of like the major Faerunian constellations, some of them anyway. All the seasons seem to be represented. There's each of these have different symbology. Some are kind of like grounding strength. Some of them are like wisdom, knowledge. So it's kind of like, if they represent anything, it would be super abstract. There are ways to draw conclusions here, but it would be hard to say what it was unless it was literally just kind of like a circle connecting everything, connecting all the seasons, connecting all of the like latitudes. Maybe like a sequence of some kind.
Okay. So Taslin's listing all these constellations, and Kale's just...
Yes, so I've done some thinking on it, and so what I think is, how Lafcadio sometimes sings and plays his music, and he has the crown thing that glitters and he can launch at people, and he also has a crossbow that kind of shoots arrows, kind of like a quarrel, but I'm thinking that the first three are Lafcadio. And the next three, I think Nos wears a belt sometimes, and she has definitely met a centaur and is a woman warrior.
Nice try, but I don't think that's it.
Okay. It's nice that you're thinking about it.
Oh, hold on. Can I? Sorry. I just want to see something real quick. I'm probably not right, but can you pull out the sphere real quick? Can I just look at it?
Oh, yeah. And I'll pull out the sphere. And I think it has the most recent combination I found, probably already pre-rolled, that I was like, this might be it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does it have any kind of symbolism on it that would reflect the constellations you listed off?
So the way you all have described it to me before is it's kind of like a sphere that's like almost Rubik's Cube-esque with a series of buttons. There are not necessarily like symbols. They're like arcane symbols on each of them, but they don't, there's not like a picture of a harp and a picture of an arrow or anything like that. But you're looking at it and you're like, how can I tie that to this? Go ahead and make. Ooh, I need to think of what all of the different roles are. 1 second. Let me go look at your character sheet, just so that I can remember. Let's do insight.
Okay. I'll use my DM's inspiration for this.
Okay.
And it is a 17.
17. All right. So you're like, maybe this is connected. Maybe I'm going to be able to look at this and see where it goes. And you look at it and none of these symbols are familiar. And there's certainly not any of the actual like symbols that were listed.
Yeah.
But when you look at it and you see all these tiny little buttons and you think, maybe the stars go on here? It's kind of circular, like the sky would be around the world.
I'll be like, okay, I do not know how to read this gobbledygook, but my theory is that you're being told how to get to Ysgard. Does that make any kind of sense to you smart people?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Thank you, Lefcadio.
Kale, had you talked through any of the like thoughts that you had while you were like, okay, this constellation's here, this one's this time of year, anything like that? Or is that all internal?
That would be internal, yeah.
Okay. So when Na says that, and she's holding out this sphere with all these like, tiny little buttons on it, and you're looking at it and you're like, northern constellations, southern constellations, different times of the year. This has a north and a south.
Let me see that thing.
There you go.
Kil will ask, well, no, he wouldn't need to ask because he knows when they're around. I guess he would ask Tazlin, like, where did you see it, like, in the sky exactly? They would try and line it up.
Oh, well, the harp was right there.
Mm-hmm.
The arrow was over here.
Mhm.
The crown over there. The
Mm-hmm.
belt was down below. Then the centaur and the woman warrior were both, like, right over there.
Okay, give me a minute. Give me a lot
Oh,
of
and there was
minutes,
a really
probably.
big moon. Did I forget to mention that? It was, like, in the center.
That makes a lot of sense.
Well, I mean, moons kind of go all the way over the horizon, but sometimes.
On the horizon. I can't help it. I'm sorry. All right,
Okay.
so what are you doing with this, Kale?
She's gonna, try and arrange things with they're supposed to be arranged. This is in the north sky, south sky, west sky.
Oh,
Moon
is
in the
this
middle.
that faith thing you told me about?
Not really. I mean, a little, but mostly it's just basic puzzle solving stuff.
I mean, that's fair.
So you're putting it on there. What are you doing to try to like put these on there?
Well, I've seen, Tazlin work it before, so I would imagine Kil would know how to turn it and reorganize stuff so that the buttons kind of form the rough shape of the described constellations roughly in the area where they would be, on like a globe.
Mm-hmm.
Globe. If you had what do you call it? It's the astrolabe. I was looking those up yesterday.
So I feel like astrolabes have come up in my life like 8 times in the past like week or two. It's interesting how this keeps happening. So how do you activate this item, Taslin? Purely a question because I don't know how it works. Do you like press the buttons in or anything like that?
Yeah. I like press certain buttons, and then if they are a valid combination, like I think Teo described it as like a rune kind of glows, and then you press the rune and it brings you there.
Okay. So you're kind of like Rubik's Cube-y Tetrising things around Kale, and nothing really starts to make any sense at all. Like you're moving around these arcane sigils, and as you're doing it, it occurs to you that like because these sigils are more just like the magic that's being imprinted into this item, moving them around, while that works for certain combinations, it doesn't seem to be like forming any constellations. But it occurs to you just because of the the conversation that's happened, all of the like bits of information everybody has thrown out. Constellations are not drawn lines; they are dots in the that like are metaphorically drawn together. And because you know that things have to be pressed in to activate it, it occurs to you as you're moving things around that all these tiny little buttons for a place like this might be meaningless in themselves other than to be points like on an axis with which to draw. I probably described that really poorly, but it's like poke in where the stars go.
Okay, so I mean I'm trying to think of what you're getting at here. Like he's making the constellations as much as possible, but the point isn't to like arrange them in the right way and then push all the buttons. It's, I guess the hope is that the Kale has is that he's going to arrange them the right way, and then the correct button will have revealed itself for him to press or something, or I don't know, like a rune will show up when he's done, and if it doesn't, he'll throw it in the garbage.
I think what she might be getting at, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that we didn't have to move it at all in any way. It was literally just pressing the buttons north, south, east, and west based on the order in which the constellations appeared.
Like, for instance, would Kale be familiar with the shape of all these constellations? I think based on that role, he probably would. Yeah. So let's see here. I know some of them have pictures. The woman warrior, for instance, which I don't know why he would be drawn to in particular, but whatever. The reason why it was seen to be like a warrior is because there's several in a line. Sorry, apparently this page has sound to it. That was interesting. There's like an advertisement or something, and something's really loud in my ear. There's like a line of stars that represent the big sword that she's got, and there's a few that go down and form what the arm would be. And the reason why it became a person and not just a sword is because there are two that appear where like eyes would be, and then there's like the vague shape of like a silhouetted woman. And so because there's all these millions of not millions, but there's a bunch of tiny little buttons on here, you can essentially like pick out the buttons in the shape of where the stars would be.
Okay.
Because it's a puzzle.
Right. No, I'm just trying to think. I don't think Kale would just do that. He wouldn't push any buttons.
Mm-hmm.
Let Taslim do that, because
That's fair.
Wizard stuff. We'd be like, all right. Say, I think this is what we need to do. You push the buttons in this order, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, I'm going to push the buttons
described.
right now.
Don't do it right this second, though.
I'm pushing the buttons.
Because we should probably make sure everybody's ready before we do.
Well, I mean, as long as I don't hit the final button, I won't.
Are you sure?
I'll go say bye to Dad.
Mm-hmm.
Don't push the final button until I return.
Oh, yes. And I got my dagger back, right?
Oh yeah, here you go. We went and got that
thank
last
you.
night. Yep.
Yes. Ooh, it's nice and shiny now.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're back.
Okay. So you take off to go. Oh, go ahead.
And before we do that, we should probably all leave this city. I don't want to leave Hoppers. He'll get terribly lonely.
Aye.
Okay.
Kale, mate, they got pets.
All right. Whatever.
Pets.
It's just you're gonna. Okay.
So, you go and find Ryman. He is in his like quarters/study. Looks like he is finishing up his like post-fountain daily devotion. You did see him come out around like sunrise and do his thing, and then head back inside from your like perch as you watched it. Watched the sunrise, I should say. It was one of the things you took in. So he's in here doing some other. Looks like a ritualistic sort of thing he's packing up, and then there's like a pile of like to do, basically like listy type thing on paper next to him. Listy type thing. Really great at this.
I just walk up to him and hug his head, despite what he's doing or what he's holding at the time.
He's like half bent over the table, and you're just like,
yep.
His head is hugged.
Yep.
Hello, daughter.
Hey, Dad. It's time.
I knew you'd have to leave eventually, but I knew that I would never feel as though we had enough time together.
Same. Hey, but I'm going to Ysgard. I'll put in a good word.
Hopefully my deeds speak for themselves.
Oh, I'm sure they do, but a little talking up never hurt nobody.
That was a valid point. I'm proud of you.
Thanks, Dad. I'm proud of you too.
Oh, just an old man trying to do what seems right by Timora.
And that's more than what a lot of people can do with their lives. A lot of people don't even try. I've said it a lot, but I will say it again and again and again. I am so happy you found me. You have changed my life entirely, and you put me on the correct path, the one where I could do good. And if it hadn't been for you, that wouldn't have happened. None of this would have happened.
He's listening, and there's this like proud, pained, happy like mix of emotions that kind of like settle into his face with like the furrowed brow, and his eyes are a little glossy, but there's a smile on his face, and he reaches up and he puts his hand on the side of your cheek as you're talking, and kind of like pats almost like the side of your face, and then he walks around the desk. Big hug.
Big hug back. Strong hug. Solid hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I found you or you found me. But my life has been just as changed and enriched by you. And I'm glad that we have had all the time together that we have.
Me too.
Love you, Nas.
I love you too, Dad. Be safe while I'm gone. And if you're not, I guess I'll see you in the next life.
I'll do my best. And I'll see you again, one way or the other.
I give him a kiss on the forehead. And then I give him like one like last look. Like you can tell that I'm struggling to walk away. But I have to do it. So I just go into automatic mode and let my feet carry me out.
And you can feel him just watching you as you walk away. The sort of like similar longing, acceptance that this is a thing that needs to happen, but not a desire for it to.
I'm still looking at him by the time that I disappear from beyond the threshold.
Mm-hmm. And he looks proud and sad, and there's a little bit of a shine, maybe in the corner of his eye.
I'm just thinking, don't do it, Dad. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You fall apart. I'm going to fall apart.
Nope.
Don't do it. All right, and I'll go rejoin my companions in sort of a somber walk.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, yes. So is everyone ready to go? We'll like leave the city, walk outside, grab the hippogriff and hoppers, and ready to go.
Why do you keep calling it a hippogriff? It's a griffin, dummy.
Griffin, hippogriff, same thing.
No, it's not.
Just a second. I walk over to where the bagels are, and I'll catch up. And I just put some schmear on and tuck those away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, your system's finally acclimated to like richer foods again because you had been eating so sparsely for so long, and it just feels so nice to just have whatever is available and eat it and feel safe and know that also your stomach can handle it now.
All right. I guess I'll start walking out.
Also fills a bag of bacon.
Just bacon?
Yeah, just bacon.
Oh.
And you all know that you pretty well were given like the run of the place, and so when the few like initiates and greater initiates that had been kind of like on kitchen duty that morning had been making food for everyone and setting things out and whatnot, see you all start to pack up. There's just like quietly nothing said about it or anything. It's just like other plates of the types of food that you're all packing up just kind of like set out next to what was already out. So there's just like a ton more bagels, a ton more bacon. It's basically kind of like very clear that it's like take whatever you need just, you know, it's yours kind of thing.
I'm incredibly emotional right now, so I'm also going around to all the initiates and hugging them too, and hugging them very tight, and then holding them out at arm's length, like, I'm proud of you. And then move on to the next one, hug him real tight, I'm proud of you.
It's funny because they all know who you are, and now, like, especially after the party and everything, they met you, they understand the significance, they've seen the like angel thing. So even the people who weren't necessarily there at that time or outside at that time have like heard about it, and so there's a little bit of like confusion because they didn't necessarily like know who you were before a day or two ago, but also there's a bit of like awe on all of their faces, just like in general, looking at like the amazing act that you have done, and so you represent something important to them.
They've been touched by an angel.
Yeah, basically. So it's like it's an interesting interaction where there's just kind of like almost not reverence, but that sort of look when you see somebody important. They have that to them, and then you just like approach them with this sort of like warmth and emotion, and give them the hug and tell them they're proud of them, and they all kind of have this similar sort of like dazed almost like look by the end, and they don't look like uncomfortable or upset in any way, but it's all very like almost like starstruck mildly.
Oh, well, that's adorable.
Mm-hmm. And then they shuffle off back to whatever it was that they were doing before. So your saddlebags are packed, you're heading out to the mansion to pick up the animals, and then your plan is to see what happens when you press the button, essentially. Okay. So you make your way outside of the city. I think you've picked up all of your like orders and everything that you've put in, so your business is pretty much concluded. Any stops on the way out? Nope. Okay. Oh, nope. Okay. So you make your way out of the city. It takes a little bit of time. I forget exactly how far away you all were, but you exit out that sort of like northwesterny gate. You make it over to your mansion. Are you going to try it from inside your mansion, or is the plan to get the animals and go outside?
I think we were going to just grab the animals and go outside, but I don't think it matters. We don't have to be like in a set spot.
Okay. And how does the thing work? Do you all have to like hold hands or be touching or anything like that? Or does it just like X number of creatures nearby you? It's based on a gate cube, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Cubic gate. Come on, internet, you can do it. I believe in you. Maybe it can't do it. We'll see what happens. Use an action to press side of the cube to cast the gate spell, opening a portal. Oh, just kidding, it's a portal. If you use an action to press one side twice, plane shift, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So you go outside. You have everything pressed but the like activation button, right? Mm-hmm. So you press the button that's like, haha, this worked. And then there's another one that's like, okay, gate's opening now.
Yeah, so right before I do that, I want to make sure that Hoppers has his armor on.
Okay. You don his armor? Or you
yeah,
help him don
I don't do that. My
yeah.
servants do that.
Oh, right. Of course.
And Dusk Plume has all of his barding on. And then I'm going to mount up and kind of smile at Nusk, at Nost and say, no more carpet.
I should have known that was the reason that you bought that.
So I see you guys.
I'm going to have Ysgard sit on a Hopper's head because he's still a little ferret.
Okay.
So that I can cast spells on Hoppers when I inevitably fall off.
I see you guys are like making preparations for like danger. Where exactly are we going? Or do we hope to be going?
I have absolutely no idea. All right. I hit the button.
So you press the first button. And this time you're used to seeing like a rune or something along those lines that basically give you like the affirmation. This time what you see it lights up, and there's like a line in the south like hemisphere, and then from the middle of that one, another line springs up, and then there's a diagonal line on the right, a slightly longer diagonal line on the right, and then another diagonal line on the left. Does that look familiar to anyone?
Does it look like the harp?
Mm-mm.
No.
Does it
Nos.
look like the planar symbol for Ysgard?
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, you of all people would probably be the one to like just know this, even though like you might not have spent a whole lot of time studying it. This is close to your heart, and that's definitely what it is.
Are you all ready to go? Any? Work, damn it!
So you press the final button, and there's like that tingle of magical energy that you're used to when it like fires up, it initiates or whatever, and from it emits this like silvery light that kind of, almost as if there were a wall in front of you, kind of beams out and hits this invisible wall and kind of splays across it. And then a line, like a really thin, bright white line, appears down the middle of this like amorphous ovular shape, and it just peels open.
Mama! Mama, I'm coming home!
Just
jump
for
through.
reference, I totally have already cast water breathing at some point today.
I'm sure you could have ritually cast it while you all were having breakfast or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, I ride hoppers in majestically.
Love it. I think with the gate portal, you can see the other side, the gate spell, right? So initially, what you see, like a splayed cosmic sky that's, instead of black, more like a deep, deep blue, like navy-ish. There are swirls of pink, magenta, like cerulean blue, darker blues mixed in. There's a smattering of stars across the sky, very like galaxy, smoky, like appearance to it. And in the distance, if you've ever seen what it looks like for a star to go supernova initially, there's that like ring shockwave sort of thing. And there's one of those in the sky with a bright like pinpoint of light in the middle, but it's static and unmoving. And the ground is plain earth, like loose dirt, and some like rock, rocky like shapes, not like actual rock sitting there, but like ground rock that stretches out and meets some grass sort of in the distance. And that's what you see when it opens up. And I know Nas immediately jumped in.
I jumped through before you even saw the other side. It was
Yeah.
just like, whoop.
Okay. What are the rest of you do?
Wampum will be the last to go through.
I think Tazlin's the second to go through.
Okay.
He'll look around just to make sure that nobody's coming with us.
Yeah, you all are able to kind of like pick out a spot like off the main road out in the grass, like near where the mansion had been cast. So there's you can see like the city off in the distance, and there's like travelers and people like milling about outside the city walls, but there's no one in your immediate area. So you all make your way in. Okay. And I think it's time to take a break now. Woo! So we'll be back in a few minutes. What are you going to say, Carl? Go ahead.
I want to say, before we head out, just wanted to thanks to Sabrick for the 300 bits. Thanks to Nathan for resubscribing, and thanks for new followers, Bunny of the Sea and Commander Keys. And we'll be right back.
See you in a few minutes.
Gotta find my cursor to press the button.
Work. Thank you for the encouragement. I have.
Oh.
Press the button. You gotta stop.
Oh my God. Just starts reading things. Hello, everyone. Thanks for waiting for us. So welcome back. We have some words from Carl before we jump back in.
Why, yes, we do, and I thank you for that, Katie. Before we get back to the game, I just want to give a quick shout out and special thanks to our sponsors at Campaign Coins. They are great human beings making really great metal coins and other RPG accessories. You can check them out at campaigncoins.com and on Twitter at campaigncoins. If you like the folks you see on the screen or the folks in chat, lots of them, we are on Discord. We have a community Discord where we talk about D&D and non-D&D related things. If you are a subscriber or a Patreon patron, you get special perks when you join. And second to last, you want to follow us on the Twitters so that you get all of the announcements for when we're going live or when new shows are starting, etc., etc. That is open for Adventure, which is different than the channel you're on, which is FOR. And the last thing is I fixed my light, so it changes colors now. That's it.
Last and most importantly, of course, the light is oscillating again. Oscillating? Oscillating between colors, right?
That was good.
I think that's the right word. Yeah, so you see before you you are on like a ledge of hard rock and earth. As you step through, what you see, in front of you is sort of like a mountain region almost, or range of like 5-6 mountains and a valley, and then like a plain-esque area that comes off down towards like your left. There's a small like lake at the bottom of this valley, and then of course the dark sort of like night sky backdrop. The light from behind you is illuminating this with a very like silvery white light. And as you look up above and behind you, you see a very, very large moon, larger than it should be. You also see that you are essentially standing on the edge of a floating piece of land. There is, you're a little bit away from it, so you're not like standing on the precipice, but you're pretty close to it. And if you peek over the edge, there's nothing below but this night sky. Pretty common knowledge, I believe, that earth motes exist. And so you surmise that this is some type of floating earth mote. The air is like cool but pleasantly so. There's a very sort of like greenery grassy smell to the air, mixed with the like subtle smell of like a petrichor, like the soil after rain. Nase, I want you to make me a Constitution save.
It's 27.
27. So you're all kind of standing there, taking in your surroundings, and Nas, you feel this like, it's not a pain, but it's a weird, like fiery pressure that's inside of you, and it almost feels like something, you don't know whether you're gonna like throw up or like something is like almost going to like burst out of you. The sort of like gut-wrenching feeling that you have when something sad happens, but it's not associated with a sadness. It almost feels like you've been like sucker punched.
It's a hurty chest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah. And there's like a bit of like a tensing of the muscles that you all notice. Like your passive perceptions are all high enough to notice this. And as you glance over at Nas, you see her like tense up, and there's like this expression as if there's almost like a pain and a little bit of confusion. And it's almost like her form swells a little bit. She becomes slightly taller, slightly broader, like slightly more muscular than before. And it's almost as if there's like a heat emanating from her. Like there's palpable warmth from that direction.
I feel funny. Oh,
What's happening to you, girl?
I don't know. I feel like bloated except everywhere.
Once you are able to like take a deep breath and like kind of like focus yourself, the intensity of it dulls down pretty quickly. You made your con save. So there's kind of like this lurch and this happens, and there's just like this almost like gout of heat, like hot air that you all feel emanating from her, and then there's kind of like the settling back of like the stomach settling type of thing.
All right, I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where do we go now?
Okay, we'll look around and see if that building you saw is from before is somewhere.
So you remember being, there was like a similar sort of like rockiness to the structure, and there was soil there where you were before, or what you remember seeing, but the landscape was very different. That seems to be more like ocean oriented, and this is more like there's a lake here, but you're not surrounded by a vast expanse of sea.
Wampum is going to take flight about 300 feet up and just circle.
So you launch into the air on the back of Dusk. What was it? Dusk what?
Dusk plume.
Dusk plume. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna have to practice that one. I can do this. Take flight. And you're a very perceptive individual. You go high up in the air, and you're kind of like surveying this sort of atmosphere. There's no change in temperature or wind or anything as you fly up, which you would expect to happen 300 feet in the air. You know, you're like above what would be like a tree line or something like that. But the air feels exactly as it does, except it is like you feel the like rush of it as you're flying on the back of Dusk Plume. But you do see in the distance that there are like several of these floating islands almost. It looks like maybe a total of 6 or 7. And they're kind of, there's like almost, it looks like a light that connects them loosely. And that's how you notice them at first, is there's this like beam of light. It's really, really not clandestine. It's like subtle. It's really subtle. It's not like a vibrant, glowing bridge, but it's more like a thin, like connective strand almost. And you're able to kind of like follow it around, and you see them all in the distance. And they all have like different topography. Go ahead.
I'll fly back down. They be islands. They be connected by light.
Okay. Did you notice any architecture on any of them?
Seems normal.
They were too far away to see something like architecture, and they're not all just like flat. So it would have been difficult to see like a building from this vantage point, not only because of the topography of the other islands and this island, but because of the distance and the darkness. Like it's illuminated here. This moon is shining like a bright light, but it's like dim conditions essentially.
Okay. Well, shake out the rug, say the word, and say we should probably go check them out, right?
Do the same with the other rug.
Okay.
Did I have a rug? I don't know who has rugs anymore.
It's me and you. I got the big one. You got the little one.
Yeah.
I will give Lefcadio the little rug, I guess. 'Cause he's the only one right now that can't fly.
Hoppers can't fly.
Oh, that's right. Well, that sucks for you.
Oh,
Does it say on
no.
there how much he weighs? Let me go look at that page.
Da, 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 da.
I think I just sent you the stats. Does it have a weight on there?
Let me take a look. All I know is that his long jump is 65 feet and his high jump is 20 feet, with or without a running start.
Okay. And
You
his
see the-
speed is 75 feet, which is actually
Yeah.
faster than they can fly. So depending upon the trajectory, he can do that, or you can. He's a large creature. How much does the big carpet take? What were you going to say, Carl? Sorry, actually, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just take the weight of a regular rabbit and then multiply it by 4 and multiply that by 4 and then multiply by that by 4. And I think you'd get close.
Okay, how much does a rabbit weigh?
That's a
Are we
great
talking?
question.
Are we
About a
talking
hair
Eastern
more than a
Cottontail,
pound.
or- Well, let's go with a Dice's Cottontail, which is 3.1 pounds. So 3.1 pounds times 4 times 4 times 4 is 198.4 pounds.
That's fine.
I'd say he definitely weighs more than that, though, because he's a large beast. Ooh, when you cast in large and you go up, your weight's timed by 8, I think. So multiply that by 8. Or by, let's do 4 one more time.
198
You also have
times
to
4.
account for the antlers.
So yeah, so he is 792 pounds.
Okay,
Okay.
so you can have the big carpet.
How much do you weigh, Taslin?
Not much.
Yeah, he's pretty live. Yeah, and I think the big one holds 1,000, right?
1,200.
1,200. Oh,
Mhm.
actually, so Lufcadio and or one of you, maybe not Nas, depending on no, yeah, you could too. 2 of you and Hoppers can fit on the big carpet.
Yeah, and since Wampum isn't on the big carpet because he can fly,
Mm-hmm.
I think the math checks out.
Yeah. He takes up a lot of space.
More room for
And-
snuggles, portable pillow.
Yeah, so you'll have to kind of sit on him on the carpet, which is definitely like it feels a little bit precarious, but it can be done.
And the
Okay.
speed is gonna be 20 feet. Like it's gonna be chugging along.
Well, I guess I hop on Kale's carpet.
Okay.
Also, question for you, Katie.
Yes.
When Hoppers does a 65-foot jump, does he not take damage or less damage if I was falling from the height that he could theoretically jump at or to?
You mean like jump up to catch you?
Yeah, well, like if I jumped and I was 65 feet above the ground and I was on top of Hoppers, would Hoppers take any damage from the fall as it's a standard height that he's able to jump?
Oh, no, not at all. Like his body is built to do that and to land without hurting itself. Like check
Okay.
back with him in another 10 or 20 years and his joints might have aged, but until then he's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so so this expanse ahead of you, you see that this one is probably the largest of all of these moats, and this like mountainous range extends off to your right. And once Wampum pointed them out, you can see these thin strands of light. It seems like it's a really long way away, but you can fly. You know the general direction that you're heading. Is that where you want to go? Where are you all heading on the carpets?
Other islands.
The other islands?
See
Just
what's
moving
going on.
around, see what's okay. All right, that's fair.
Looking for a building.
So it's going to take what feels like hours and hours as you're kind of like slowly flying over this this land. You see there's this is very like mountainy evergreen. There's like a tree line. You can see the tops of the mountains are snow capped, and there's little like rivers that are running down into this lake, and then off the other side you can see what's on the other side of the mountains. And after what feels like, as I said, hours, you're like approaching the edge of where this like thin strand of light you had seen before was. And as you get closer, it definitely looks like a flat beam of light or energy or something along those lines that acts like a bridge, essentially, that connects these two. But the interesting thing about it is like the edges are a little amorphous, and while it seems to create the shape of these like intricately like designed like a banister on either side that have like these swirls and other patterns in it. They're also like they have almost like blurred edges, like they diffuse because it's light like into the darkness. And so it's like an interesting shape that's like not exactly fully corporeal, but also is at the same time.
Am I driving this thing?
Is that your goal? Would you like to be driving?
I would like to be driving this thing.
Can you drive this thing?
I can. Lefcadio taught me.
That's right. All right.
I would like to drift close to those beams, and I would like to attempt to touch it.
Okay. So you're on the, which one are you on? You're on the big one. Okay. So you're on the big one with Hopper and Taslin, and you chug your way over to it. It's kind of nice to like fly over this tree line and like see this like verdant valley essentially. It was like just like a really sort of like serene picture beneath you. And as you approach the end of it, there's like a grass line almost where that ends, or like the life ends, and then there's this rocky outcropping. And are you going to like land the carpet and then like get off and try to touch it, or are you going to fly over to it?
I'm flying adjacent to it.
Okay.
It's like when you're driving really fast and you put your hand out the window.
Gotcha.
To feel the current. Yeah.
So are you approaching it from the side where there's nothing under you but darkness, like dark sky, or are you like, okay. So however you feel about this, Taslin, Nas kind of like veers off to the side and like slowly sweeps out over the edge of this rocky outcropping, like up close to the edges of this like palpable light. And you reach out and you touch it, and it's like cool to the touch, and there's definitely presence to it. Like you push on it and your hand stops, but it also almost like moves under your hand a bit, not enough to like you can like press it and it's like stretchy or anything, but there's just like a feeling of it moving under your hand, and there's almost like a bit of this like light is almost like misty.
Yeah, I play with it. I continue to play with it as we go.
Yeah, like the hand thing. Yeah. Okay.
Is anything coming back to me from being here? Is because I lost a lot of my memory on the return, but
so Katie doesn't know what it was that you experienced here necessarily the first time, because I was not here for that.
That's acceptable.
I would say, what is the first thing that happened to Nas when she arrived here the first time?
I personally do not know the answer to that question. See, the thing is that Tymora, we learned a little bit, she learned a little bit later that a lot of her memory was wiped, and she has faith that was due to a good cause, whether that be that she didn't experience everything great, or that she experienced things that are so great that she wouldn't be able to operate on the material plane again.
Gotcha. So you out of character don't even know what it was that happened when you were here.
Correct.
But when you were here last time was after you died the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you are kind of like playing with the light on this bridge, and there's that like that weird sort of like pressure inside of you. It's like totally under control. You still feel it, but it's not like bothering you in any way. And just looking at this light, you have this memory of the moment of death. How is it that you died before?
I fell into primordial lava. Well, I didn't fall. Like, that wasn't my bad. I got kicked off from a very tall pillar into some fucking primordial lava.
Ouch.
And then I got resurrected by some dwarves, and then I died again immediately, and I was like, why? Why would you do this?
No, why? Oh, no. So the feeling of death was, there was a flash of heat, but it was almost too hot to fully understand the sensation. There was surprisingly less pain than you would think for that. It's more like a bright intensity of all of your senses sort of commingling into something that's hard to fully grok or comprehend. And then you opened your eyes and felt, it's like you felt the stars rather than seeing them at first. And as your vision focused, it was that you felt the light touching you, as if it were palpable. And that's why when you touched this bridge, it like brought this memory forth.
I'm really getting the sense of
Mhm.
what it means to be in heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to stop resisting whatever is pushing inside of me.
Okay.
This is heaven.
So you had been kind of like, you felt this and you did this sort of like choke back, sort of like body, I'm not going to allow myself to vomit or whatever it was that was going to happen. And you kind of like release and are open to whatever it is that is going to come with this. And the sensation doesn't necessarily change, but you recognize that it's not unnatural. This isn't like a sickness. You're not being like afflicted in some way. There's like a piece to it, like a burgeoning energy inside of you.
It is my way to accept such things.
Okay. Do you continue along to the next path, or are you like stopping in contemplation for a bit?
No, we're still going.
Okay. So you all make your way flying over. Looking down, it's kind of interesting. You can like almost see through this like energy. You all saw Nas fly over to it and kind of push on it, and her hand stopped, and it seemed palpable. But it's also like at once like mildly translucent. It probably would have been a very harrowing experience to just trust that and walk over it. But luckily, you can all fly, so there's no point in, you don't have to worry about it. As you approach the next like floating piece of earth, the immediately present thing that you first notice is what looks like plates of glass, not like a plate, but like flat shards of glass or something, just like jutting out in like a splay from the edges of this dirt. And as you're obviously you're flying, so as you get closer and you kind of look down, you realize that it's ice. These are thin, flat shards of ice that look like there was a wave that lapped up and it froze so quickly that it's just this thin shard, and there's a whole splay of them on the edge. Now there is some water behind that, of course, and it's like seeping through the edges of this, and as it touches it, you can see some of the water kind of like mist, like it's so cold that it causes it to evaporate in an odd way. And some does kind of like trickle out over the edges. So there's just like this pretty, like a little bit of like water trickly free falling over the edge of this, this like icy barrier. But it does seem to act as a barrier to hold this water in. And you do see land in the distance. It is kind of more like island-esque. It's probably like more like a, what is it, a delta, like the land that juts out and it's surrounded by water. So the side of the earth moat is like soil, and there's a large land mass, and then a big like expanse of water that surrounds it. And it's similarly, it's like it feels like you're traveling for a long time, but it's difficult to tell how much time is passing as you're doing it, because there's no rotation of any celestial bodies. There's no like night and day or anything like that. You don't feel like you're tired though, even though it seems like it's been a couple of hours. So
Yeah, let's find a place to get into that ice bubble and land and check it out.
Okay. Yeah, you can just fly over the edge of the ice. There's like it's like not a choppy sea, but it's like moving water. Like the wind is causing like waves and ripples and stuff. And so there's a little bit of like the white frothiness to it. There's not a salty smell, so it does seem like it's probably fresh water. And it's probably about like an hour or so of flight time before you reach the closest bit of this like landmass that jets out from the side of the edges here. It's a little bit more barren. There's a bit of snow on the ground. It doesn't feel cold here, though. It's an interesting thing. Like the air feels the same that it does everywhere else, but there's obviously something like causing this. And when you get closer, if you actually were to like, are you going to land and get off of the carpets, or just get close to the like ground?
Well, we're only moving 20 feet per turn, so I'm gonna say we just kind of like skid along the ground.
So when you get closer, there is like a bit of a feeling of coldness from it, but it's not like uncomfortable. It's just like a chillier like air than there is in like the rest of this space.
I'm gonna turn back at this point and call to the people that are occupying the carpet. So how's it feel to be in heaven? What you think?
Oh, is this heaven?
A part of it?
It's wonderfully, delightfully not the Shadowfell.
Agreed.
That's an answer. That's for sure.
That's it. That's it.
It's real impressive. Like, there's lots of floaty bits, and you don't see that every day.
How does it feel to be among a space that is all sky? How does it like look around? Look at the expanse. Nothing? Seriously?
Definitely. It's like being in the plane of air, except I don't think I'm gonna die.
I'm not seeing the Iron Forge of Morden, so I don't think this be my heaven.
I mean, this is simply just another reminder that when I die, I'm just going to go back to the Shadowfell.
Wow. All right. Well, I'll just keep going. Fuck y'all.
Not having a spiritual experience and no one wants to share it. So as you continue traveling over this land, this like edge of the water area kind of fades into like icy tundra almost. There's it's not like overly frozen over. There is there are flora types here. There's like grass that seems to be growing through it. If you've ever seen the sort of like like edges of Alaska, I think, where there's like grass but snow at the same time. It's like this really hardy grass that can still manage to like survive the spring snows and stuff like that. It kind of looks like that. And there's a point where in sort of like the distance closer to the edges of this moat, you see like the silhouette of what might be like an elk, but it looks really large, and it's difficult to say whether it's actually a silhouette or the entity itself is just like dark in a way. But there's almost like these little pinpoints of light dotting over its body that make it look like a celestial like painting that's very similar to like the sky behind it, but you can see because it's not up in the sky, obviously, you can kind of like see it almost like half illuminated, half dark. It's a really interesting experience with a sort of like sloping landscape in the background. And there's like low hanging clouds over here, maybe like fog, like where the cold meets the normal air. So it's just kind of like this this like icy expanse. And are you looking for anything particular here, or are you just going to continue on to the next one?
And
I know you said you were looking for
shadow
something.
looks interesting. Let's go towards that.
You turn in that general direction and travel for what feels like maybe 30 minutes or so. It's like this place seems huge, but despite these hours passing again, it doesn't feel like you don't have that sort of like stiffness from sitting for forever or anything like that. And you get closer, and this creature that like will dip its head down periodically to like eat maybe or what have you. When you are maybe like maybe like 100 or so feet away, 100, 150, its head comes back up, and it's difficult to tell exactly whether it's looking at you or away from you, but there's that turn where the like against the backdrop of the sloping landscape with the like whiteness and the like dark grass dotting up, you can see this like the outline of the antlers as it looks like it's either looking right at you all or away.
Excuse us. Hi. I'm Knots. These are my friends. We were summoned here. Can you tell us in the direction in which we should be going in order to meet our summoners?
Oh, don't forget, please.
Please and thank you.
So there's a moment of stillness where there's like the sound of the waves lapping in the background, even though you're pretty far inland. So that's a little odd. And it doesn't appear that it moves at first. And then after what seems like almost too long to wait, as if there's not going to be an answer, there's like a single step taken forward where this like dark hoof imprints into the snow, and then another, and it starts to slowly make its way over to you. And as it gets closer, it's difficult to say whether distance is hard to determine here or it's like growing, because you weren't that far away and it looked like maybe slightly larger than normal, maybe like a large creature size. And as it gets closer and closer, it's like somewhere between large and whatever the next size category is, huge or whatever, to the point that you have to almost kind of like lift up on the carpet to be somewhat level to where its head is. So if you're hovering a few feet below the ground, you have to kind of like go up a little bit. It's like maybe 15, 18 feet tall. Sorry, my cat is doing something weird. As it gets closer, you can see that there's like this almost like radiant outline to it, but it's not that it has an outline so much as that it's like emanating from it. And it is almost like dark matter with this body that looks like it's got like constellations drawn across it. You can make out the features because of the light sources on it, but it itself is just dark. There's no, like, you can't see eyes or anything like that. You can see where they would be and you can see the like shape of them, but it's hard to say like where they're looking or anything like that.
Do I have any concept as to whether or not this is appropriate for the setting?
You don't feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Most creatures in general wouldn't approach if they like felt uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing like strikes you as odd. You can still be worried about it. Like there's no reason that like the like anxiety of doing something wrong has to go away necessarily, but this isn't like out of character. If something approaches you, especially like maybe like a wild animal or whatever, then it's obviously not ill at ease, or it's a predator, but it approaches in a different way if it's a predator. So as you rise up to kind of like meet where its head would be, I'm assuming you do so, or you can stay down if you want to.
No, yeah, let's meet it.
Okay. It leans its head forward slightly, almost like dipping down its nose to touch the edge of your carpet, and its nose is like a foot wide at this point. It's almost like it's hard to even determine the exact size of this creature because you're looking at it and it's like half blending into the background and half discernible.
Okay, I get it. I immediately get it. I touch its nose to make sure that it's all right with that contact. And if it is, then I will ascend onto it.
So you touch its nose, and there's that sense of homesickness that kind of like touches your heart again a little bit. And you have this memory of waking up and seeing the stars and the light touching you and feeling like your body wasn't where it should be. Like you have sensation, almost like ghost limbs. It should be there, but it's not. And when you try to like look down and you see yourself, you couldn't. And then you felt a presence near you. And after what seemed like a long time, you could eventually look down and start seeing not like the insides of you or anything like that, but it's almost like you saw matter being recreated in a way. Like
we're talking about pure energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you looked down and you saw like pure energy, kind of like, it was difficult to understand what was going on. But eventually it started to kind of like take form into what looked like your body. And when you had that moment of like feeling whole again, there was almost like a pressure cooker, like condensing of like power. Oh, in a moment. So you felt squeezed and pressed almost like back into existence. And after like a brief moment of almost like pain, it was like disconcerting for sure. You opened your eyes again, and this creature was kind of standing off in the distance looking at you. And you have this recollection, or at least something that looks like this, of having like seen one before and recognizing it as like a guide.
I have to, like, my eyes unfocused for a minute as I have these recollections. I can't assume that it's the same one, that it's the same guide. But I do definitely feel in good hands at this point. And it's very much fuck the carpet at this point. We're pals now. It's,
Okay.
it's official.
So you vault off onto the creature, as you were saying before. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Run up the nose, onto the head, between the antlers.
There you go. As you begin to put yourself onto it, and like crawl up, it does its shape is still like a little bit difficult to make out in some areas, but it feels present under you. It feels solid. And it does like shrink in size a little bit. Not so that it's like the proper size for a mount necessarily. It's still like a large creature, but you could sit more like on like its neck, so you're not like perched on its head or anything.
As it gets smaller, I just kind of like slide down.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And I want you to. There's like that burgeoning power that you felt inside of you, like as you take this like seat and you slide down off of its head. It's like there's like a soreness almost, but not an unpleasant soreness. Like after a good workout, you wake up the next day and you've stretched and you've had your water and everything's fine, and there's soreness, but it's like a good feeling, like having a good workout. There's just a feeling like that inside of you, and I want you to make a strength save for me.
I'm going to willingly fail it.
Okay. There was this feeling for a moment of like lethargy, where the soreness turned like slightly sour, and it's the kind that like you have to sit down too quickly because you can't hold yourself up. And when you sort of like embrace that, you feel like the sensation passing. What everyone else sees is this sort of like, again, it's like Nas kind of like grows and stretches inside. It's like she's swelling up, to be larger than she was before. And it's like if you've seen what archangels look like, it's like that, like the marble, like David-esque, like physique of like something strong and solid, but there's this like radiance to it now. And before, you were kind of standing next to her, and so this heat felt like a wave of warm air next to you, and now you're all like a distance away, and you can feel still like even a slightly warmer heat emanating from her, even though you're further away than you were before. So go ahead.
Who's driving this thing?
Well, it's certainly not me. I don't speak Celestial.
Right. I'm gonna hop over on that one, I guess, so that
Okay.
unless you want to hop on that one.
I do. Yeah.
Okay. I'll stay put.
So Kale's getting onto the big carpet.
Mhm.
And Lafcadio, you're going to take the little one by yourself. You're on Duskbloom, Wampum, and you are on the Guardian of this Galaxy. Haha, just kidding. I didn't plan that. That just came to me. Because I'm not clever, but I like dad jokes.
Yeah, I'm just like, all right, friend, we ride.
Well, welcome aboard the rug, Kale.
Wait, so I'm confused. Which rug has the giant creature on it?
The one you're on now.
I don't want to be on that one. Never mind. That's
What?
what I was trying to figure out who was where, and I don't want to be where that is.
So you stop and you switch again.
Yeah, wait, Lafcadio. Change your heart. Okay. Thanks.
I love it.
I mean, I'm just stuck here floating. I can't move, and I can't leave the carpet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as soon as Tazlin said, "Welcome to the carpet kill," I was like, "No, never mind. I can't do it."
Oof.
So you switch back, and the creature that you're on, Nas, it kind of like stops and seems to like regard everyone for a moment, and then turns around and starts walking. And as you, assuming you all follow, do you follow? As you follow, you see it heading towards the far end of this moat that you've seen. And although it looks like it would take a vast amount of time to travel here, it's almost as if it's like slipstream. This thing is walking on the ground. You can see the earth passing, or the dirt, the soil, the ground passing by you very quickly. And as you trail behind it, everyone who's on a carpet or a griffin or what have you, you experience the same thing where the ground aside you is traveling a lot faster than it feels like it should for just kind of floating behind this creature as it's walking. And before a few moments' time, you reach the edge, and it stops and dips its head down to take a few bites of this grass for a moment. And it kind of it like lifts its head back up, and you can feel under you can feel its like muscles tensing, Nas, and it leaps off the edge. And at first it leaps, and there's like a dip to it, and then it starts like running, like the motion of running, and you can feel like the need to like post like you would in a horse, like happening. There's like a gallop to it, but it's like it's running across the expanse. Like there's nothing under its feet, but it's running across the sky.
There's like an intuitive connection at this point. It moves, its muscles move. I know how exactly to turn myself. There's just it's flawless at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely like a connected feeling, and just being sort of like a martial person, you would know like how to ride a creature that's moving anyway. But despite it like obviously making like galloping and like that instinct kick in of needing to like or like in a normal situation needing to like move yourself so that you're not like thumping against the back of the creature, the ride is very smooth, partially because you're so in tune to it and you know how to move with it, and partially because despite its galloping, it doesn't seem to actually be like jostling too much. There's a big grace to it.
I understand fundamentally that this is not some beast.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I told it is my friend. It is now my friend, and I completely mean it.
And there's an understanding there. So there is a third moat off in the distance, and you experience, all of you, in the wake of this creature, a similar sort of like slipstream, sort of like the lights of the stars slightly blur, and you can see like almost like tracers behind the moon as you're moving. And after it seems like just a matter of a few moments, you're already on, or over, I should say, because you're flying the other like moat of Earth. And this one is much more like verdant greenery, like lush greenery, not necessarily like a jungle, but there's like weeping willows, more like a vast forest, but with all kinds of trees that don't belong growing together. Like, I don't remember the types of trees. I've even looked this up and I'll never remember what they are, but like evergreens next to like willows and things like that. Like, just this don't belong there. They wouldn't actually occur that way. And it lands back on the ground and starts kind of like galloping off into this forest. And there's wildlife everywhere. You can see like small creatures like little bunnies and squirrels, and there's like a red fox that stops and like curiously regards you all as this creature like lands on the ground. And there's almost like a path, but it's less like of a path and more of like a game trail almost. Like maybe this is the way a creature has come before. And it leads into this forest. And as you pass sort of like edge of it, it's almost like that was like not a shield, but looking in, you couldn't really see inside of it. You could just see trees. And as you like cross over the barrier of the edge of these trees, you immediately notice that there's like lights hanging in the trees. It almost looks like there's little fireflies inside of them. Like the light inside is kind of like floating and dancing around. They're in all different colors, warm tones, like pinks, orange, reds, yellows, golden colors, things like that. And although there are a variety of trees, the most present type is a big sort of like willowy-esque type, drooping leaves, very like forming like shrouds over these trees with these lights kind of like hidden inside that like float around a little bit. And while it's like paper lanterns almost, so you can see the outside and then you can see the little like bits of light floating inside. And after moving at what seems more like a normal pace, you don't see the like blurring of the edges around you as you're moving anymore. You arrive to like a simple cottage in the woods. Now I say cottage, it's larger than that, but it's like a fancy log cabin. There's a like a swing in a tree outside. There's a pile of firewood that's like been freshly chopped. And there's a light on inside.
How high above the ground are we currently?
That's up to you to decide. The trees are very tall, abnormally tall. Like willows normally are like 20 feet-esque tops, and these are like 40. So you could be anywhere within that range and still be under the canopy.
Lafcadio, do we want to go check that cottage out? Is that something we should do?
I'm following us, mate.
Is this where the stag stops?
You're on the ground, like heading up that direction. As you get closer, it continues to travel towards it. As you get closer, you see that there's like a flower garden, like out behind the house, and then there's like an actual garden to the side of it. Very like farmer living in the woods by themselves type of feel, or like self-sustaining almost in a way. And as it approaches it's probably about 20 feet away, that's when it stops.
All right. I will just screw it. I know it's huge. I'll just jump off its side
Okay.
land however I land. I'll try to roll. Tuck and
So
roll.
you like swing your leg up and over, and as you do, it instinctively starts to like lean down a little bit, and you're able to kind of like slide down the side of it and do like a roll onto the ground. Like it's so effortless because it like helped you get down that you with your prowess. You kind of like land and roll and pop back up. It's kind of fun.
I reach up and in communication to ask it for its head to lower.
It does so.
And then I give it smooches on the nose and scritches on the jaws. And I'll say, thank you. I love you. I love what you're doing here. You keep it up, okay?
There's like a nuzzle back and like an acknowledgement of like affection scritches.
And then give it a final pat. And then I will approach the cabin.
Okay. And it kind of like, as you start to walk away, it like wanders off over to the grass and starts grazing again. What are the rest of you doing?
Landing.
Okay.
Suppose we're landing.
Yeah, there's a clearing here. The canopy does kind of almost seem to like stretch up and over this. It's still well lit. It's very like golden, like warm toned sort of light in here. But you can easily like all the animals fit inside. There's a place for all of them. It's not like cramped or anything like that. So Nas, I'm assuming since you're the first one there, there's a little door. There's like a 4-paned glass window on it with like curtains on the inside that you can see. All the windows have curtains, but some of them are drawn back and others aren't.
I post up next to the door, very sentry-like, glaive end down into the dirt, and I wait for my companions.
Okay. So you all get off, and I'm just like, oh, you're muted, John. Sorry.
I'll walk up beside her on the other side of the door.
Okay. Taking up guard on the edges. Where are you leaving? Are you like rolling up the carpets and putting them away, or is it kind of just leaving them on the ground?
Yeah, Kale will roll his up and put it away. He'll make sure he'll make a point of going over to the creature, and thanking it, just saying thanks in Celestial. And then walking away as he rolls it up and then puts it, he's got it in the thing, rolls it up with the backpack and stuff. You know how people do stuff?
Yeah, I got you. You walk over, you say thank you to it, and it like stops grazing for a minute and looks up and like regards you. Because you can't really see, again, like eyes or like expression, you can see like the outline of the creature. It's like acknowledgement. It's hard to say, like, they recognize that. There's not like a nod or anything like that, but it's just kind of like goes back to grazing.
We're cool.
It was like a pleasant, like a cordial exchange. Yeah. And so go ahead. You walk up.
My carpet. Awesome.
Okay.
I push hoppers off the carpet, or try to, as they're like rolling it up.
Get off.
He'll listen to you. He'll just move out of the way. He'll kind of like bound off.
Now you hoppers, you wait by the door. I'm going inside.
It kind of like scampers over. Scampers is a large creature. It's like one big bound that like it makes it over to like around the side of the door, like sitting in front of the house, but not like in front of the door.
And I just go right up to the door and knock it.
I nod in approval.
Was Levcadio going to knock as well?
No, I was going to say, so I guess we're in this this heaven-like place for Enos. Is there like a legend about this amazing cabin?
Not to my knowledge. Let's see what's inside.
And as that conversation is happening, Taslin knocks on the door. And there's like a quiet moment. You hear some like footsteps, like footfalls inside. And the door kind of like swings open. And at first, at eye line, you don't see anything. But then you see like what looks like a halfling woman with like an auburn curly hair and like freckles and like ruddy cheeks. She's wearing like a simple like peasant-y style type dress with like an apron. There's like flour on her hands. It looks like she's baking. And one second, need my notes. Nas, you have this. There's this moment after you recognize this creature and you recognize it as a guide because when you were like pushed, like cooked back into existence on this plane, you were very weak, very lethargic, but with the help of the creature, you were able to get up on its back and it was able to take you somewhere. That place didn't look like this necessarily. It was more of like a castle, almost like a structure. And that doesn't look like anything you've seen so far, but there's this like hazy memory of arriving to it and walking inside and getting off and like stumbling because you felt so tired and so like put back together for the first time in a while. And then there was somebody standing in like a doorway ready to greet you when you like looked up. And it takes a moment, but you feel like if you could recall the way they looked exactly, it wouldn't necessarily be exactly the way this woman looks, but there's like a familiarity here.
I'm just smiling, and my smile grows ever wider the longer that we are here. However, this is something that I know that I have experienced, although forgotten to a large extent, and I very much want my companions to experience it too. So I will remain quiet.
To be honest, I didn't think anyone was going to answer the door. Terribly sorry. I move aside.
Just take a step back.
Wampum sniffs the air. What you be cooking?
And she smiles at you and takes a step back, like swings the door open wide and gestures for you all to come in. And you can smell blueberries, like maybe like muffins or scones or something, like a baked good that's not too sweet, but blueberries in the air.
Wampum will walk in.
So Wampum's first in.
I will go second.
I'm assuming Anas, you're going last.
I'm going to yeah, I am. I'm physically pushing Lafcadio and Taslin in.
Okay.
When I stop by the door though to greet our hostess, I will crouch down and embrace her in just a big ol' hug.
When you crouch down to give her a hug, you have this, you're in the doorway. You have this memory of meeting what felt like your mother, like a vague memory of almost like being a child and running into your mother's arms, but then being able to like swing mom up and around and do that thing that like parents do to little kids. And this comes like flooding back to you. And although there's like a slightly different appearance to it, the like feel of like excitement, like this entity that you are embracing is like if you could be like joy and mischievous and like excitement for good things to come, to be like bottled into a creature, that's what it feels like. And so when you touch them, there's this like overwhelming sensation of like not necessarily like happiness, but of like excitement for the future, looking forward to something, and it feels very at home.
I peel back and I help her fix her hair where I messed it up, and I'll just be like, it's really good to see you again.
And as the rest of you watch, you all make your way in, and Nos has stopped and crouched down to give this entity like a hug, an embrace. And you watch this happen, and there's that heat that you were feeling before that you could feel when you're standing next to her. It's like there's a wave of that rushes out. They stand there and they seem unaffected by this, but you all feel as though like you walked too close to a fire. Like it doesn't hurt, but there's that like there's a campfire and you sat down in the chair and you were there for a second and your face got way too warm and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to move my chair back a foot because this fire, I'm too close to the fire. That's that feeling of like that heat touching your skin, and there's that little bit of like tingle to the edge of it. And they start to talk to each other, and it's like difficult to even hear what's being said. It's like there's something happening here that is causing this sort of like surgence in like not reality, but in like the present. Something's happening. It's making it difficult to make out the exact shape of each of them. And as Nas seems to be like letting go after this like embrace, and she's like moving, her skin starts to have like this sheen to it that's almost kind of golden, and her hair kind of like flies up and around her as if it doesn't like obey the laws of gravity anymore. And there's this like light, this warm light that's kind of like shrouding her. And as they like lean back from each other and she reaches up to touch the head of this entity, this like light that's like growing behind her, like it's not a pop sensation, but like it flares out almost, but instead of like fire flaring, it's like it just like spreads up and around, and you start to see individual flames kind of like forming out of it, and it looks like big fiery wings that are like living fire that kind of like almost like flicker and flow a little bit but have a definite shape. And her she has pupils, right? Normally she has like eyes and stuff.
Yeah, her irises are black, so it's hard to tell where her pupils end and her irises begin, but yeah.
Right. Well, now they're gold and there's like a light to them. And there's just this very like this sort of like distortion that was happening in this moment, like kind of like fades away, and you can now feel, all of you, the sort of like the radiating like hopeful joy from this one figure, and then the power from Nas, as if there was like an archangel type of statuesque figure of immense power standing in front of you. But it still looks like Nas for the most part. It's just like some sort of like ascendant form almost. You don't necessarily feel different, Nas.
So I heard there was pie. What was blueberry what?
When Nas speaks, her voice is there, and there are whispered voices under it in other tones, in other languages. You pick out some celestial words that you know Nas doesn't know, Kale. And it's saying the same thing that Nas is saying, but in other tongues. What all languages do you speak, Kale and Taslin?
Give me just a minute here.
I know you speak like almost all of them.
I speak Common, Elvish, and Primordial.
Primordial is there as well, saying the same thing. I heard there was pie.
We got Abyssal, Celestial, Common, Dwarvish, Elvish, Gnomish, Goblin, Orc, and Sylvan.
Also Sylvan. I think that's it.
So,
yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, Kale, just let this moment. This is just going to happen.
I lean over to Kale and I go, "Is this what faith is?"
cannot answer that question right now.
She hasn't said anything yet, but when you ask if there's pie, she smiles and like kind of takes your hand and like not pulls you inside, but like guides you into this cottage, this large cottage. It's almost like you realize now, although you don't necessarily feel different or like necessarily notice anything different about yourself, although that kind of like weird feeling in your stomach is gone. You feel like totally fine now, and it's like, okay, I'm at home. That's what it is. Like I feel better. You do realize that you have to like duck to get into the doorway.
I accept this.
Mm-hmm.
And I go for the pie.
She closes the door behind you, and you see what looks like almost like a little like not a hobbit, but a halfling home. There's like a seating area with comfy furniture. It's got like red upholstery, but there's like wood. It's like wood structured, so it looks very like natural to the setting. She starts to head into another room through like an archway where you can see like a big round table that's it's been painted like this sort of like not mustardy yellow, but it's like a shade of that type of yellow that's a little bit lighter, like a gold, but not gold. And it's got little designs on it. And there's like several chairs all around it, more than one person would need. And she like walks into that room and turns around and like looks at you all as if like like, come on. And then after she kind of like gestures, she makes a turn and goes into another room. So she's like gestured at this table.
I sidle up next to Wampum and I look down at him and I'm like, did you get shorter?
You're muted.
I'll look up at her and says, don't you go there.
Okay, fair enough.
So where's the pie?
She's leading you to him.
You can smell it in the air. And when you enter this room, you see that the like corner that she turned. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Were you gonna say something else? No? Okay. She turned into a corner and it looks like a simple little kitchen. There's like a wood burning stove. There's like a counter that's covered in flour. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. It's only got down on the floor. It's kind of like a mess almost, but like an intended mess. Like this was just part of the process. And there is like a window that's halfway open, and there are a couple of pies cooling on the window. There's like a pan of muffins, and you get the distinct smell of like lemon now as well. And she's going over to the window ledge and getting pies. She's got like her hands in her apron and is like picking up these pies and is heading back in to the room that you're all in.
Well, it has been years since I have tasted me some lemon pie.
I think she knows.
And she comes back out and she kind of like starts to set these different like treats out on this table. The table is large enough to fit all of you and then some. There's like 12 chairs. It's like very like Knights of the Round Table style, like just this big round table. She goes back into the kitchen and she brings out some scones and some muffins as well. And there's all of the chairs are the same size. There's not one that looks like the head of the table. Obviously, it's round, so there can be a head of the table anyway. But she does seem to go and sit in a very specific one, like intentionally. And as she sits down, there's like almost like a shift in her form, but not dramatically so. It's like it takes on this more like radiant golden, like the ruddiness and the freckles are kind of like not gone, but like masked from her skin as this sort of like almost like not like gold body paint, but almost as if somebody put like a filter over a phone, like a golden filter, just kind of like washes over her and like the colors are way more vivid than anything you've ever like seen on a person in real life. Her hair is almost like fiery now in a way. Her clothing has changed though, and it looks like she's wearing some sort of like simple red gown, but not like an evening gown, like a long sleeve, like almost like a cross between a gown and mage's robes. There's like a wide boat neck to it, and those like long sleeves, and it reaches the floor. And now on the table are fruits and meats, and there's like big carafes of wine and of juices, and each setting has, or each like chair has a setting to it, or there's enough for all of you, I should say. Not all of them have settings to them. There's like a teapot with like there's a teacup at each setting too, as well as like a wine glass. And Kale, you notice the teacups look like the teacups from the person that was in that dream that you had. Okay. And she looks up at all of you and smiles and gestures to like take seats.
I go to take a seat, and as I'm sitting, I'm reaching for food eagerly, but then I stop and I look at Kale.
That's weird.
Which food were you reaching for?
A handheld food, so a muffin or a cookie or whatever it is.
Okay. You stop and you look back at Kale. And at the corner of your eye, you notice that the muffin that you had reached for is on the plate in front of you.
Kale will bow deeply first and then take a seat. He'll notice, I guess, Lafcadio looking at him and just be like, and he'll say, it's nice to see you again under much more auspicious circumstances this time. Will your friend be joining us, or?
She smiles at the like auspicious circumstances thing, and there's like a moment of contemplation or of thought, and she shakes her head.
All right. And I don't know. He'll go for some tea and a scone, because that's what scones are for. You gotta have tea with a scone. It's not, or coffee, I guess, but Kale's more of a tea guy.
What type of tea is Kale's favorite tea?
Black tea, just black tea with nothing in it. Well, he would probably like sugar. A little bit of sugar. But you get that kind of from dipping the scone in it, right? Like,
yeah.
So,
I mean, black tea is not overly bitter, so you could complement it with
it's like
easily.
black tea with a little bit of, it's got kind of a little bit of orange flavor in it, but it's not Earl Grey.
No. Yeah, black tea with orange in it. Like, that's totally a thing.
Mm.
That's the tea. When you pour it, not knowing what type it's going to be.
Sure.
It's a black tea that has like a vague like aroma that's like moderately like citrusy. Okay. Tea is tea. Other things are mealy brews. Does everyone actually sit down?
I think this entire time Taslim has been entirely too uncomfortable to like touch anything. I think he was shoved in here by Nos, and I think he's just been standing awkwardly, like in right where they kind of entered it. And I think it takes him a long while to finally take a seat. And it's not him like falling into a chair, it's him kind of sitting on the edge of one of these chairs and very tentatively kind of sitting there. He doesn't reach for anything, he doesn't touch anything, keeps his hands like very close to himself and like is visibly at ill ease, I think.
Okay.
I would like to will a pie slice in front of him.
Okay. Will like watch it and hope that it happens?
No, believe that it will happen.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have faith that
Make-
pie.
Yeah. Make a religion check with advantage. What's Taslin's favorite kind of pie?
I got a 2 and a 4.
I don't think Taslin has a favorite kind of pie. I don't think Taslin's eaten much pie.
Oof. Do you think that Taslin's more, does he have more of affinity for like a tangy flavor or for a sweet flavor?
Man.
No. Judging by the jelly rolls, sweet.
Yeah, I was about to say, it had, like, I think the favorite thing Taslin has ever eaten is probably what Nos got him way back when she got him, like, the gift bag and he was drunk.
Okay. So you
That's a
will
throwback.
you will a piece of pie to appear in front of him. And you like are staring at the plate and you're waiting for it to happen. And no pie appears, and just about the moment, Nas, that you're like, darn. One of those jelly rolls appears on the plate.
Taslin doesn't reach for it. He looks at it longingly and it's just gonna sit there in front of him tantalizingly.
I've assumed, I haven't sat down, but I've assumed a position standing directly behind our hostess. Again, glaive down into the wooden planks. And the ghosts of flames that are on my back extend ever so slightly.
Mm-hmm.
I finished my first muffin and I've gone for 2 more.
What's your favorite type of muffin? Or what's
Well, I heard
Los
blueberry
Gatos.
and that's all I can think about. That's it. Blueberry. That's...
okay? So they're all blueberry muffins then.
If I can pick up that Taslin is having reservations, I would like to say, Taz, it's completely editable.
I think Nos talking like that is even more unsettling to Taslin and does not put him any more at ease in this scenario. And he just is like, I had a big
I know you like sweet rolls.
that is true, but I'm not hungry right now.
If he doesn't want to eat, it's fine. He doesn't have to eat.
Okay.
I will say, Tesla, you might regret it later, but not in like a threatening way. Just you may wish you had eaten.
Eating a jelly roll?
Yeah.
From heaven.
But it's up to you. Nobody's going to force you to do anything because that would be very much against, I think, the dogma here, right?
Oh, I see what you're doing. Ooing.
And as everyone else kind of takes their seats, however at ease or ill at ease, she pours herself a cup of tea and kind of like looks back out at everyone. And I think that's where we're going to end it for this week. And we'll pick back up next week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Heck. It's gonna be a while. Good, I've got time to plan. No, I'm kidding. Thanks everyone for coming on the adventure with us today. It's, as always, I say that it's you play these games and you want to like share these experiences that you have, and it's difficult to do when you're with someone outside of the people you play with, unless people hang out with you while you're playing. And so I appreciate you sharing the story with us. And we're going to go backwards again this time. So we're going to start with Graham to reintroduce yourself and say your favorite thing about today.
Hi, I'm Graham, and I play Taslin Evrio, a Shadow Arcai Necromancer Wizard at level 15 in Half-Rate Heroes. I can be found on Tumblr, or sorry, not Tumblr, Twitter. That's what it's called. I have like 5 accounts. You can follow them all. I post on none of them. It's a delight. You can also find me on Fridays at Tales of Valeria soon in 2 weeks, where we will be starting a brand new campaign of Dungeons and Dragons. Fridays from 8 p.m. to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. My favorite part today was, oh man, there were so many good ones, but I think my favorite one had to be, without a doubt, the Snoop Boob. I just think that's the most NOS thing to do in any interaction with any animal. It's just like, I want to touch it on the snout. Let me do it. That's all I've got, and I'll turn it over to my boy, John.
Hey guys, I am John, the old man of the group. I am the Dwarf of Marabar, Master of the Axe, Enemy of the Drow, Traveler of the Plains, Destroyer of Shadows, Deliverer of Certain Death. I am the Wampum Thunderbelly of the Selenar. I would have to say, again, my favorite part was Nos putting out the hand, not knowing what she's going to get in return, and, you know, eventually running up the head of the thing to sit on it. That was pretty cool. Well, what you think, girl?
I think a lot of things, but specifically about this game, I will first introduce myself as Casey, KCH on social media. And you can find me also on Friday nights at 7 CST, 8 EST over on Sabric's channel doing Echoes in Ether with Carl, where we roam around the plains. We're in Sigil right now, and we're fighting potential far realm encroachment. So that's worth checking out if you like to mess with planar stuff. And my favorite part of the episode is don't care, it's already been repeated. It was the Celestial Stag. That was awesome, Katie. Thank you for putting it in our game.
Me is Vinny. I play cleric. I was Kel or Vinny. Social media, etc. Favorite part, didn't have a favorite like specific part. I like kind of backseat episodes, sort of, where I get to just like watch cool shit happen. This was solidly a NOS episode, which was great. Just everything that happened. You know, we're being nonplussed about being in her version of heaven, celestial stags, fucking rainbow bridges, kind of, but not really. It's just actual light. It's not rainbowy as much. But anyway, yeah, it was just nice. It was just a nice time. I just had a good time today, everybody. Now it's Carl's turn.
Hello, it is my turn, and I am Carl. I played Locadio Whitehorn, the Tabaxi Warlock. And as Casey said, you can find us Friday nights on Sabric's channel, twitch.tv/SAEVRICK. And occasionally, eventually, you'll find us Wednesday nights here on this channel. But that campaign is on small pause. We'll be back. Look out for that. My favorite part about this game was Katie's descriptions of Ysgard, or wherever we are, I don't know. This celestial plane, the moats, the floating ice things, the lights. It is all very flavorful, and I approve.
Oh yeah, that's me then. Right, we were going backwards. So yeah. What was my favorite thing? My favorite thing I actually really like how uncomfortable Taslin was. Not because he was uncomfortable, but that seems really appropriate to the character. And it's really easy to be caught up in a moment like this where you're in like a nice little hobbit hole and everything's super inviting and there's just nice food. But then to remember that like this doesn't feel right for you. I like that you did that. And then other than all the other things that have already been said, because I really think the Celestial Saga is pretty cool too. To be fair, that was like I stole that idea from some artwork by Muhammad Nafay. If you Google it, it's really cool looking. I didn't put it up on the thing because I forgot to do that. But yeah, so it's really pretty. You can go look at it. We have a raid.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Looks like Welcome Party RPG. They're doing their Neverland game again.
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
we will head over there if everyone wants to stay tuned until after the credits.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for hanging out with us, y'all.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.